this unit and lesson, we're talking about the power of the media. So, in TV didn't come out until the 1930s, but in the 40s and 50s, people were just starting to get TV sets in their house, and they looked little something like this. So these are the kinds of TV sets that you might have seen, and notice they're all in black and white. Color TV did not come out until later. So initially, this was this brand new thing. Before this time, everyone would listen on their radios. They would have big radios. And so this is what they would use before TV came out in the 30s and 40s. And they would sit around just listening to stories and news on these big radios that were in everybody's houses. So when these TV sets first came out, families would just sit watching for hours and hours. It was this new, amazing adventure for everybody, right? But it became a little bit concerning for others because as more people spent more hours watching television, it became noticeable to certain authors and certain people that media and news being delivered through the source made it very easy for them to deliver a message, made it very easy for them to get the word out to many, many people because not everyone was reading the newspaper. And people started to notice that the media would have an opportunity to influence the way people acted and thought about things moving forward. Some people were really concerned. And so George Orwell wrote a book called 1984, talking about Big Brother taking control, like government. He talked about how there would someday be cameras everywhere and we would lose our privacy. And his book actually has a lot of things that came true about being watched all the time. Ray Bradbury's book, Fahrenheit 451, is about censorship and how books are just burned as a natural process. And if you have a book, it's against the law. And there's really both very good books, but there's all kinds of this future depiction that people back in the 50s and 60s recognized could be a real problem in the future. Now, by the 1960s, people had color television, and so that's when it first came about. But that's where you started seeing televisions in schools and them using them for, hopefully educational purposes. That's generally the point for them, right? But this was the first time that had ever happened, that this was something brand new. So moving on from that and talking about how the media is affected and how it's affected other people and how people have responded to it, we want to take a look at Marshall Lewin and Noam Chomsky. So Noam Chomsky you may have heard of, and you can come here and click on this link. It'll just give you bio and bring you to his website. But he's a professor, but he's also very politically active. And so he's somebody who's just brought up a lot of points about how media could be really great and it can be really terrible. Marshall McLuhan, he said this very famous quote. It says, "The medium is the message, and the medium shapes and controls the scale and form of human association and action." What he's saying is and you can probably understand if you watch Reels or TikTok, the medium, the way it's being delivered to us, that's kind of more important in a lot of ways than what they're actually saying. So if somebody's, trying to send you a message on TikTok, they generally don't just stand there and speak. They do something that's showing you something connected with the message, right? That medium is, if you just saw what they're saying in print, it would not nearly have the same impact. And you can decide whether or not you agree with that or not. Noam Chomsky, some people argue that, well, yeah, okay, fine, maybe governments are going to start to control their people. And maybe that's true. You have to decide how you feel about that. But the argument against him says, well, yeah, but there's a gazillion news sources. There's a bunch of places where people can look. We're not just getting one source of information from one news source. We have hundreds of news sources. So that would probably make it hard for a government to become completely correct, at least our government in that case. This is just what the argument is. The whole point here is for you to start forming your own opinions. Do you agree with what we're saying or do you disagree, right? These aren't even necessarily my opinions. I'm not going to give you my opinions because I'm more interested in your opinions. So talking about that, blogging became a thing. And I'm going to go on to the next slide to show you about that. So blogging came from, actually, the term blogging comes from this. It's blogger.com. This is what it's become now. And it kind of, if you go here and you want to check out kind of their little historical thing here, you can read about how they originated. But blog, the word blog actually came from this website. And it just gave people opportunities, right, to start expressing themselves a little bit. You can read here about how they almost went broke, and how individuals had started at that point around the 2000s to start to really see the internet as an opportunity for us to expand our knowledge, to use it. But journalists, of course, are not all on the up and up, right? You'll have some journalists who, just, want more followers or whatever it is, and some who are really in pursuit of the truth. So again, go ahead and read. This is a little bit about Zimbabwe and just kind of different things that have happened in different governments, and how people have experienced the media. So these are the things that I want you to do for this portfolio. I want you to think about your connection to media. How do you use it? Do you even watch TV? How do you use the internet? What affects you? What about ads? You know how they personalize ads? Some people love it, some people hate it. Some people think it's a huge intrusion of privacy. Some people find it very convenient to only get ads for the things that they're interested in. So this is what you'll be doing. You'll be answering these questions, and you'll just be submitting that as your first portfolio for lesson 3.